this is all wrong. This isn't how it's supposed to be. It's Russian. It's red. Where's the Russian bias? Here we are again, and welcome. As no one has even looked at this plane in a year, the Yak-15, and let alone looked at the Yak-15P, which I haven't seen a review for in 3 years, many people might think it's shit. And they're right, but not in the way that they think. So sit down and grab a drink while I take you on an adventure into the Yak-15P and why it's absolutely great in this review. Now, the Yak-15P is the reduced armament version, the P standing for Rana, or early, and it is the direct evolution of the Yak-Yumo, wherein it is one of the first versions to use the standard RD-10 reverse-engineered Yumo 004 engine. To start, I'd like to look at the armor and X-ray of the plane to give a rundown of the internal modules and what to look out for. The RD-10 engine is mounted directly in the nose below 2 self-sealing fuel tanks and the offset NS-23K cannon. The wings both have 2 self-sealing fuel tanks towards the wing roots and center of the wings. Besides that, there isn't much else to this plane. You don't get an air brake, not much else. You don't even get combat flaps, you just get normal landing flaps. Armor-wise, even less. You have a single 8.5mm steel plate behind the pilot, and at good angles it will barely offer you 12mm of protection, so don't expect to survive many encounters as you don't even get bulletproof glass. Now, on to the armament. The single cannon. The cannon is inconsistent, at least before you get any modifications. Stock, it is abysmal. The games you will see are after I've spaded it, so the cannon is going to be a lot more accurate than it would be when you first unlock the plane. And overviewing the performance, it looks bad from the stats. You are slower than even props. You overheat quickly, among other things. And now that those two overviews of both the armament's problems and the performance issues, it's time to go deeper. The cannon. The NS-23K stock is a piece of garbage through and through. It is complete trash as far as damage output goes, and, well, okay. The belts are the main issue. The cannon will do damage if it hits its target, but if you don't have the belts, if you're using stock belts and the stock cannon without the upgrade, it'll be inaccurate, and just feel like it always pings. And as its inconsistency stock performance goes, it has made me deem it as garbage overall, because it is going to be a chore trying to spade this thing. And with the belts not doing damage, the air belts are only mildly better, because with the NS-23, you get 0 HE shells, no high explosives. You just get fragmentation, incendiary, and armor-piercing shells. And it only has 60 cannon rounds for its single gun, which is offset, not even centrally mounted. Now, the cannon being as it is, terrible, at least stock, it can work to your advantage. And you might ask, but how? How can a garbage gun be good? Well, it can help teach. As it was a trainer real life, it can also somewhat be a trainer in War Thunder, because it helps teach trigger discipline and helps you become consistent where the cannon isn't. So you'll be forced to get more firing solutions to compensate for the cannon not doing its job when you need it to. So you'll have to fly better to get guns on target more, and with the low ammo, you'll then be forced to fire only when you are absolutely sure it'll connect. With the speed and performance issues, and you ripping extremely fast due to excessive speeds, you will be able to trick props into thinking that you follow jet rules as a normal jet fighter and that you can't necessarily maneuver as fast as them, when, contrary to their beliefs, you can indeed turn fight. As far as opponents you see, the most dangerous are probably Bearcats or late Merlin Spitfires such as the LF Mark IX, to be totally honest. You can outturn jets, and most of them are new or inexperienced jet pilots who are just coming off of props, so they will carelessly waste their energy fighting you. Some of your easier targets to prey on are P-80s and Griffin Spitfires, P-80s usually waste energy and turn fight you, while you can outturn Griffin Spitfires, usually in the vertical. While fighting the Japanese, you should, as with most allied planes, watch out for R2-Y2s. Against the Germans, Me-262s that are low on speed are easy picking. The biggest threat I've found against the Germans are Hortons if they come in groups of 2 or 3. One Horton isn't too much of a threat, while then again, one-on-one dogfighting in the Yak-15P is where it really shines in its element. Nothing is really a huge threat in those kinds of environments. The D-13 shouldn't pose much of a threat either. In my experience, they just try to turn fight you because, again, they underestimate you and think you can't maneuver, and they think that I might be a D-13, but at least I can outmaneuver a jet. You should never assault bombers. Bombers are just a completely no-go zone. They are absolutely unapproachable from your plane. Especially high altitude, where you can't even get the engine power to assault them. I've been outrun by a B-29 in this plane, and it was just absolutely abysmal. And even if you do get your guns on target, you're not even going to do damage to them. You're just going to bounce right off of them and spark. So you won't be able to do any sort of damage to them, and with your wooden airframe, and especially with Bomber's massive array of guns, you are probably going to sustain heavy damage from your failed assault. Now, some other targets of interest are Tempests, which will try to turn fight you like everything else does, and you can outmaneuver them by either rolling or, just sort of making them bleed off their energy. And another one, I think the pilots who fly it are a lot smarter, so you should probably watch out for them, the Ki-84s. Now, on to the numbers, all of which will be given in kilometers per hour, miles per hour, and knots, in indicated airspeed. The Yak-15 turns well at 470 kilometers per hour, 292 miles per hour, 253 knots, but strangely, I've never ripped this plane in a turn. I've pulled 13 Gs at 690 kilometers per hour, 428 miles per hour, or 372 knots, without feeling any sort of danger. And on the straight line speed, the danger speed, where you should start to get worried, is 700 kilometers per hour, 434 miles per hour, or 377 knots. You should only be this fast when it is absolutely necessary. You can redline this plane without really worrying, but if you don't pay attention, then you might sort of spiral out of control in speed. Your do not exceed speed is 470 kilometers per hour, 459 miles per hour, or 400 knots. After this speed, you are eminent to rip. According to the stats on the War Thunder wiki, the optimal climb rate is similar to its optimal turn time at 470 kilometers per hour, 292 miles per hour, or 253 knots. Its climb rate is approximately 23 meters per second, or 4,500 feet per minute. As far as modifications go, you should go for belts first and equip air belts as soon as possible. Then the new 23mm cannon, because the plane seriously handicaps you without these mods, as you will do no damage with default belts and you won't even hit anything because of the spread. Then you should go for performance mods after that in any order you'd like. Now, one of my sort of abstract likes of this plane is the paint job. The red is just such a hilarious color, and it really mocks people, because when they see it, they know what it is. They know that they were killed by a Yak-15P with only 60 rounds. And I think it brings me joy knowing that they'll be, confused or slightly upset. I think it's, it's a very, hilarious experience. Now, the Yak-15P is not a bad plane, but it's both fun and it teaches a lot of habits of ammo conservation, getting a firing solution, and maintaining an advantageous position. And, it is red. Now, I hope that you've enjoyed this guide. The next one will probably be on the LA-11 if I can get that working for me. But before you click off, if you have any suggestions for a plane review that you'd like me to, do, just let me know in the comments, as well as any constructive feedback you may have to offer. I have been Charter, and I'll see you next time.